All right, here we are for page 2 of chapter 1 on geography. Pretty good sized globe in this image. Looks like it's an inflatable one, maybe 30 feet tall. So we start out with a topographic map, and this is a representation of natural and man-made features on the earth. So in this picture we can see this could possibly be like a butte where it's got a flat top, and then you can see the contour of the hill or mountain. You've got these numbers that represent elevations, and anywhere that line is, it's that elevation on that line. So you can tell the contour. You can also see that possibly right here, this might be a little steep spot because the lines are really close together, where over here it might be a little more of a gentle slope if you were to climb it. So to look at that map, it would show you the easiest way or the easiest route to get to the top of that butte or mountain or whatever it is you're looking at. Okay, we have the 3 basic types of map: a general reference, a thematic, and a navigational. So this is a reference map. Okay, it's obviously a map of Arizona. This is a thematic. That means it has a theme to it. So population percent change from 1990 to 1996. And then a navigational one. And on this one, it shows a river, a channel, some kind of water, and the captain of the ship, whoever that is, could go along and they could see the depth of the water. They could see, I think I don't know if there's any shading, but they could see the depth of the water, and they'll know where to steer and head and navigate through that channel or river. Okay, Landsat, a series of satellites that orbit above the Earth, constantly receiving information, sending it back down. So that's Landsat. Then we have GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. So this one stores information about the world in a digital database, and it combines information from a variety of sources. So for example, this stacked table, we've got soils, land cover, wetlands, floodplain zonings, parcels, a topographic base, lots of information over here. So all of that can be stored in the GIS, or Geographic Information Systems. The one that's a little more common or familiar to us, of course, is the GPS, which stands for Global Positioning System. This helps you know exactly where you are, whether it be your latitude, longitude, even your altitude, and the time can be shown. And this one, this information comes from a series of 24 satellites that orbit above the Earth called NavStars. So here's a user component, could be your phone probably now, up to the satellite, back down to some control, and through that it can help you to navigate. So for me, on my phone, I have what is called Golf Pad GPS. So as I go out and play golf, I can bring that app up, get it started, and every time I stop, I can tell how far my ball is from the hole, and I'll know which club to select. So that's really handy. You know, these were maybe a little more expensive, but now on our phones we can get free apps. Okay, this is really an important one here. We've got the 4 main parts to a map. So the title tells us what the map is about. Legend or key explains the symbols that can be found on the map. It interprets those, gives us descriptions of what those mean. Direction indicator, often called a compass rose, and scale, and that's the ratio between the units of length. And we'll look at these. So here's a map. So I served in South Korea, Seoul, spent most of my time there in Seoul. So this map is of South Korea. There's the title. Over here, this is the legend. It tells us what the colors mean, what these different colored lines and the shapes. Sometimes they'll have shapes on them. Maybe a little schoolhouse, a building with a cross would represent a church, an airport, anything like that could be shown through the legend or key. Okay, this is a very elaborate compass rose, but of course the main one we always kind of pinpoint is north, and then this would be south, and this would be west and east. So then we have some in-between ones, some intermediaries. So these blue ones, okay, this would be, you always say the north or the south first, and that would be northeast. This would be southwest. I'm only going to go as far as these red ones right here. So this is north, this is northwest. So if we're looking at this one, you would actually say, because it's closer to north than it is to west. So you would actually say north by northwest. If it was down here, closer to the west, you would say west by northwest. So over here we have different ways of showing scale. A number over a number or a fraction. So there's 1 to 94 million. You can show it through a bar graph. You know, that much space on the map represents so many miles on the actual surface of the earth. You can also do a ratio, 1 and then the 2 dots to 24. That would be common for some of the larger cars you might buy in the toy store. Also, some of the little Matchbox, those are 1 to 64th scale. So 64 of those little cars in length would represent an actual real car. Okay? So these can be confusing. We have a small scale map. This has a large area, but because it's so large, it lacks detail. All right, so small scale. Small scale, small amount of detail. A large scale map shows a smaller area with more detail. So because it is a smaller area, it's going to show a lot of detail. So large scale, large amount of detail. So this is the country of Belize, and right next to Mexico and Guatemala. So that's fairly big. That would be small scale because it's a larger area. Over here, this is Honduras, Nicaragua, but you're kind of focusing on this area right there. So that would be a smaller area, and it would have more detail. Okay, physical maps are types of landforms and bodies of water are shown on a physical map. Different physical features that are found on the earth. A political map shows features on the earth's surface that humans have created. So here on the physical map, you can see some water, you can see the mountains through shading and texture. There's some rivers. Over here we can see the different colors and the borders which us as human beings have created. And so that's your physical and political. So even though this is a physical map, you also can see the different countries there. And the same with the political. It's highlighting the political, but there's still some bodies of water and other physical features that might be shown. Okay? And then a contour map, lines connect points at the same elevation. So this kind of goes back with our first one on the topographical map. So you can really see clearly these dark lines represent every 100 feet, and the ones in between would be, I believe, every 20 feet. And again, you can see not quite as steep here versus right here would be steeper. And then I've added this one. I talked about it, but I've went ahead and added this. So a globe is a scale model of the Earth. And the globe represents size, shape, distance, and direction accurately. So a map can't show all 4 accurately at the same time, but a globe can. So That's our second page. Now, the previous little globe, so this one here it said was the smallest hand-carved globe. And this is the largest circulating, largest rotating globe back in Maine, I believe. Weighs 5,600 pounds and is 41 feet in diameter. So even though it's a very large globe, okay, here's Australia. You can definitely see more detail than the globe I showed you. But even though it's that big, you know, if you're wanting to go hike a mountain in Australia, it's not going to give you a lot of detail. So, okay, thank you.